Hi, thank you for joining me for today's process video. And again, it's another layout for our New York 2023 album. And these are pictures that we took whilst in Central Park. So I've pulled out my Fernwood and print shop folder. I don't have a lot of these collections left and I amalgamated them into one, and I think this is one of the last full 12 by 12 sheets that I've got. It's from the paper pad and I just loved it so much as my background. I'm actually going to use that rather than white cardstock. Shock horror. So I've cut out an 8-inch circle using my We Are Memory Keepers circle cutter. It's an absolutely fantastic tool. If you haven't got one and enjoy using circles on your layouts, I'd highly recommend looking into getting them. Of course, we stock them at Hey Little Magpie, but it's available everywhere. And I'm just sticking that circle down slightly to the left. I did consider taking it off the page on the left hand side, but decided in the end to keep it as a whole circle. And now these 3 photos that have been printed 3 by 4, I'm going to mat onto some white cardstock just to create a nice border and to create a panel of the 3 photos. So they're just snapshots of what we saw in Central Park. So one of the boulders, one of the bridge and lake, and one of the buildings in the background. So I just thought these would be fun to have in the album. I don't tend to put too many photos of scenes. I tend to prefer to have people in my pictures, but with it being New York, it was important to document some of these bits and pieces as well. So that snapshot's title is from a Hey Little Magpie stamp and die set. My title is going to be Snapshots of Central Park, so that worked perfectly, and that's why I designed these word dies, stamps and dies. They're words that you can add on to other words to create a nice title, so they're very usable and well worth the investment. So I've got a couple of tags here that I pulled out. I don't know which collection. I presume that's from Fernwood, but I haven't made a mental note of which piece is from which collection. These are all, as I say, just in the one folder, but they work really nicely together. The colours work perfectly, so that's why I'm using them. And these tags have been cut from the papers, either the 6 by 8 paper pad or the 12 by 12 papers. So I've gone into the 6 by 12 sticker sheet from Fernwood, and I'm just choosing a few bits to add to the left hand side there. I love the colours in this bird, and I thought that would bring some more colours into the layout because the photos are really quite dull. So I wanted to bring a little bit more colour in. So I'm just going to glue these tags down because I'm happy with where they are, and then carry on embellishing. I'm not happy with the way that fern peeks out, so you'll see later on I do actually end up covering that up. I wanted to use the fern because obviously we're in a park, but it just didn't work the way I wanted it to, so that got covered up. And these stickers I will add adhesive to, just some wet glue, because they're losing their stick very quickly. So just going across with my ATG, actually it's ATG that I use there rather than wet glue, and just get this stuck down. I will just check with my T-square that it's straight. There we go, and then that title is just going to sit there. So now I'm going through my pre-cut die cut pieces using my Hey Little Magpie dies. So this is the Viewmaster reel that I've cut in black cardstock, and then I reach for this large frame. I love these square frames. It's a set of 2 that we sell in Hey Little Magpie under the metal dies, and this is the larger one, and I just like the structure that provides at the top of the layout. So I'm trying to create a vertical strip down the left hand side here. Just finding some bits and pieces to add. I love this notebook paper. Again, as I say, these are all die cut dies from the Hey Little Magpie dies. So just faffing around trying to work out how to put that, but I really like that salmon pink. It's in some of the papers in this collection, so I knew it would work well. Just pulling up that tag and tucking it down a little bit. This is where I'm starting to get really annoyed with that fern that's showing, so trying to work out what to do. I thought about putting the bird there, but that didn't work. So just going to pop the bird for now on top of that notebook. He does move down a little bit shortly, and then that Viewmaster reel is going down to the bottom of the page to bring that black down to the bottom. Then I find 2 of our long-stemmed florals. They're both from the rose hip die, and they're just cut out in thin white cardstock, and they work really nicely just as another layer on top of that little selection of florals there on the left. Still trying to work out where to put that little birdie. So just moving that frame over a little bit to the left, I just felt it would look better over at the left there. And you can see I've moved that bird net down now on top of the thistle, and it looks much better. So I've pulled out one of the film strip frame dies, again, one of our dies at Hey Little Magpie, and cut it from craft card stock. So I'm just tucking some at the top and some at the bottom of the layout there. So just gluing that down. And I know at this point that the balance isn't quite right. It's very top heavy in the top left hand corner. That film strip frame probably should have come down a little bit further, but then I needed some more because it's got a lot of embellishments going up towards the top of the page. So you'll see how I tackle that later on. First of all, once all these bits are glued down, I am going to come in and add something to the bottom right hand corner to try and counteract that heaviness in the top left. So creating that diagonal design. Just as I mentioned before, just adding some glue to all of these stickers just to make sure that they stay on the layout. So some of these already have the ATG behind them, but just adding a bit of wet glue as well. So adding these two long stemmed flowers from Hey Little Magpie as well, just working out where to put them. And I'm not adding glue all the way over, just enough to anchor them in place and leave them a little bit free flowing on the layout. I didn't want all the top stems stuck down on top of the bird and things. So that's where the title is going to go, and I'm just looking to see what else there is. I found this little daisy which I thought would look cute down there, just to continue with the cluster. And here's where I add something to the bottom right, just to try and balance things out a little bit. So I've got that lovely big butterfly, so I'm going to add foam pads to his left wing and then the right wing sticking down onto the layout. And off camera I do actually add some wet glue again to that, just to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be. So there's the snapshots part of the title, and then I'm going to bring in some of my small alphabet stickers from my stash. I find a pretty little studio one from Good Vibrations, and this is like a craft colour, so it's matching that craft coloured film strip frame that I've got going down the left hand side. And the title is going to be Snapshots of Central Park, so I just write Central Park using this title, this alphabet sticker sheet, and then I'm going to bring in a very old Jenny Bolin one with little tiny circular letters, and I'm actually going to nestle that in between the S and the T of snapshots, and it fits just perfectly in there. There we go. So now bringing a tab in, of course, so that I can have my date, and this is how I cover that fern up. I just had a little offcut of one of the ephemera pieces. I think it's one of the tags that are in the 6x8 paper pad, and I just add that to the top to cover that fern. Then a couple of our little fabric flowers from the Hey Little Magpie bits and pieces, just to add a little bit of texture, and then also this faux suede heart at the top in that beautiful teal peacock colour that matches the bird's feathers. And then some twine to go through the tags. So I'm going to thread it through the craft tag, and then one thread through the front and one through the back of the second tag, and then wrap it round the top of the film strip frame. So I won't make you watch me do all that because it was a little bit of a faff, but it was well worth it. And then I could just leave the ends trailing down through one of the holes in the film strip frame. So just messing around to get that all twisted round, and then I add a large dot of glue behind the threads there to stick them down, and then on the front I just add another little dot and then use my glue just to hold that down and glue it into place. There we go. So this is how I resolve that problem of it being a little bit top heavy. I've grabbed a couple of washi tapes, and I've got that lovely green one that's going right down to the bottom of the page, and then I add a smaller length at the top of the page, and then I come in with another one which is black with white stars and layer that over the top. You could do this with strips of paper or die cuts. We've got some lovely border dies, or you could use a border punch. It's just to create that line down to the bottom of the page as well, to balance things out a little bit more and draw the eye down there so it's not all top heavy. And then another strip going under the photos, and that really finishes things off for me. So I just need to add my roller date stamp to the tag. So using a scrap of white card and my roller date, I just cut that out and stick that onto the craft tag above the first photo. Just trimming everything off. Doesn't really matter if you stamp it straight or not, because you can realign using your scissors, which is what I always do. And that's layout done. I hope this has provided some inspiration. A layout from me with no white cardstock, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye.